I want to remind everybody that this Friday is the end of the second 6 weeks. That's this Friday, 11/13. So be sure in all of your classes you get your grades above 75. Check with your teachers, email them, whatever you need to do to get in contact and find out what your grades are. Remember, for my class, you can look under Student Portal, and we talked about that under the announcements. You can sign up for Student Portal. I gave you the directions on how to do that. If you get a message that says you've already been your ID's already registered, then you can email Lisa Hernandez, and I gave you her information in that announcement that you can send to her, and she'll send you your password and user ID. If it says that you don't have a match, then that means something you typed in is not the same as what it is in our system. So again, you need to email me and let me know so I can tell you exactly how everything is spelled and what it is in the system. Okay, besides that, last Friday we took a test. So if you did not take your test last Friday, you need to take it today as well as doing today's work. So make sure you do that today. If for some reason you cannot take your test today and you did not take it on Friday, then you need to contact me by email so I can set up a time for you to do that and unlock it for you. Now, if you've been failing your test, that's a good indication that you might not pass the STAR test at the end of the year. And yes, y'all are going to take the STAR test at the end of the year, and you have to pass the Algebra STAR test in order to graduate from high school. So if you're having trouble with your test and you've been making 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever, then you need to get some extra help. You might need to, you got to change something. So if whatever you're doing now is not working, maybe you need to come see me in the mornings before school for a Zoom meeting, or maybe just for some one-on-one help, or maybe you want to Zoom with me in the afternoon at 4:20 and get some help on that day's assignment just to double check that everything that you're doing is right. If you have specific questions on topics questions that you know you don't know how to do, again, email me or Zoom with me so that we can go over those things. It is up to you to let me know. I can't reach you unless you reach out to me. I can send y'all emails, but if you don't respond, then I can't do anything. So please make sure that you're contacting me so that we can get anything cleared up so that you can pass these tests. I want you to pass, but I can't help you if you don't, get in touch with me. Make sure you're doing your work for each assignment and checking your answers. This kind of goes with the test won't be good if you're not doing the work yourself. So every day, make sure you're doing your work and then checking the answers to see if you're getting them right. If you're missing certain questions every time, then again, you need to contact me either by Zoom or email me, or maybe you just need to come to school. So whatever you need to do, let me know. I mean, we can do a tutoring one-on-one before school or after school with you here in school if you can do that. Same thing, we had a lot of kids that have come back that used to be remote, and they said it is so much easier at school. We get them caught up. They understand the concepts. So anyway, if it's possible for you to come back to school, fantastic. If not, Zoom with me, email me. You got to ask questions. Already talked about the student portal. TI Inspire Calculator software. This is now available to be put on your laptop. In order to do that, you physically have to come to the school and sit in the parking lot. You can come in the building if you want to, but some of you don't want to come in because of COVID. So if you just come and sit in the parking lot, you will be under our Wi-Fi. So you need to make sure the laptop is turned off. And then when you're in the parking lot, you turn it on. And then when you log in to the laptop, it will download that calculator software to your desktop, and it will say TI Inspire. When you go home and turn it on for the very first time, make sure it's plugged in so that you don't use up all the energy. But plug it in, and when you click on that icon, it's going to take a long time to load the very first time. So just walk away and let it do its thing. It's going to take a while. After it's done the first time, then it should load up very quickly each time you want to use it after that. I will be posting a video on my homepage and in the announcements on how to use that software. You need to make sure you're using this TI Inspire calculator software, because come test day in May, that's what they're going to give you as an Inspire calculator. So you need to know how to use it. They will not give you Desmos, so you will not be able to use it. That's what we've been using in the past because we did not have access to this Inspire calculator. But I need you to do that. Once you are using the Inspire calculator, you need to use it the way I'm telling you to, because there are features in the Inspire that are turned off when you take your STAR test. So if you're using those features that are going to be turned off all year long, come STAR test day, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle because the things you're used to doing will not work anymore. So make sure that you're doing the Inspire calculator the way I tell you to, and not using other features that are not going to work on STAR test day. Okay? I am going to tell you all the things you need to know to pass that test, but you've got to do your fair share of it so that you can pass the test. But I will let you know what you need to do. Now today we're going to be talking about reasonable domain and range. Now remember, this is Unit 2. Domain is the X numbers and range are the Y numbers in a particular graph or situation. When we talk about reasonable, it's going to be a little bit different this time, because what they're going to do is give you a word problem instead of a graph or instead of a table. they're going to give you a word problem and you have to figure out the domain and range. And so we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's go review the domain and range. Domain are the x numbers. So I highlighted domain, which are the x's, and I highlighted the x-axis because those are the numbers I want. The far left edge of this picture is right there at -3. The far right edge of the picture is at +2. So all of these little points that are in between here are between -6 and 2. They never go left of -6. They never go right of 2. So literally the x's are between -6 and 2. So that's the inequality you make. X is in the middle. You point them left, small number, -6 on the left, big number 2 on the right. Now, since the endpoints are both solid, that means the line, there'll be an equal sign underneath the inequality symbols. X's are equal to -6, and x's are equal to the 2 because it's solid. Had they been an open circle, they would not be equal to them, and the line would not be underneath it. For the range, I go find the highest point of the graph, and I go find the lowest point of the graph. It goes all the way down to -6, and the highest point is at 3. So all of my y's, this whole picture, is using y numbers between -6 and 3. Again, small number on the left, big number on the right. The inequalities are pointed to the left, and then since this is solid at the top and it's solid down here at the bottom, I have lines underneath them. Now, this was continuous data because it was a solid line. When you have dots on a graph, that is discrete. So D for dots, D for discrete. So these are individual points, so I'm going to have individual numbers listed for my domain and individual y numbers listed for my range. So for this point here, I did this in yellow. This one is at -3. And then this point is down, sorry, it's way up here. This point is all the way down here at -1. This point is on 0. This point is on 4. And then this point is on 5. So I picked out all the x numbers of these points. I dropped them all down to the x-axis. So I just list them from smallest to biggest, -3, -1, 0, 4, 5 with commas between them. And I have the set symbols around them. So the domain is the set whose members are -3, -1, 0, 4, 5. Range are the y numbers. So these are this one, up and down this time. So same points, but instead of taking them to the x-axis, I take them to the y-axis, and this is a 0. This point is at 4. This point is at 4.5. That point is over at 6, and this point is at a 7. So those y numbers are the ones I'm going to list for the range. So starting with the smallest number, 0, 4, 4.5, 6, and 7, and then I close the set symbols. So domain are the x numbers, range are the y numbers. Now, this one has got arrows on it, which is a little bit different. Domain are still the x numbers, so I'm still focused on these. When I come in from the left, though, you think, oh, it's stopping right here at this number. But it's not, because that is an arrow, not a point or a dot there. So the arrow means this keeps going up forever, and it also is slightly going right forever. So it will go right forever and ever and ever, which means I will use all these x numbers to the right forever and ever. So it does not end there. It keeps going. Same thing over here. There's an arrow, so it goes left forever and ever, which means I will eventually use all these x numbers that way. So when I want to say that I want to use all the x numbers, you can do that with the double R. You could do it with an infinity with an x in the middle and put an infinity on either end. You could also just say the words all real numbers. There's a variety of ways, but you're looking for some answer that says you want all the x numbers. Now on the range, y numbers, it never goes below -3. So the graph never goes down this way. I'm not going to use any of these y numbers, but I do use all these y numbers up, and it doesn't end here. It's got arrows, so it keeps going up forever. So this time I want all the y numbers greater than -3. So instead of having two numbers with the y's between them, all I'm going to do is write down the y and the number and then decide which way to turn this. Since my y's are bigger, I want to eat the y's. So having the mouth open eating the y's means the y's are bigger. And since it's solid down here at the bottom, that means it's or equal to. So the y's are equal to -3. I'm using the -3, and I'm using all of these y numbers all the way up. Okay, so there's that one. This one, they've given me a table. So this is easy because this is discrete because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual points on a graph. So my domain are all the x numbers. You just list them from smallest to biggest. -3.1, 2.2, 3.8, 4, and 6.2. My y numbers, and again, we'll list them from smallest to biggest. And if they're used more than once, you only list them once because we just want to know, are they being used? 0 is being used, 1 is being used, and 2 is being used, and that is it. They're the only y numbers being used. So you don't need to repeat them. You only list them one time. Now, if they give you an equation, I need to see a picture, so you want to graph it. So put it in. If you don't have the Inspire yet, use the Desmos calculator, type it in, and this is what your picture is looking like. It's squared on the x, so you know it's going to be a parabola, and the picture never goes above 1. So when you're doing the domain, let's do the domain first. X is this way. I've got arrows, so it goes right forever, and it's going to go left forever. So I'll eventually use all my X numbers. So use all real numbers, or the words all real numbers, or infinity symbols. The range are the Y numbers going up and down. It never goes above 1, but it does continue down forever and ever. So I will use all the Y numbers below 1. So all of my Y's are less than 1. So I put my Y and I put my 1, and I turn it with the point toward the Y, meaning the Y's are less than. It is solid at the top of that arc, and so I put the equal sign there. This one had another equation, and it's x to the first power, so it is a linear equation. Again, you need a picture. So put it in and look at the graph. It's got arrows on both sides. It's going to go right forever. It's going to go left forever, so my domain is all real numbers. It's going to go up forever, and it's going to go down forever, so my y's are also all real numbers because it's arrows on both ends. So all real numbers for both those answers. Now, those were the ones that we did in the past. Let's look at reasonable domain and range. When you are asked to find reasonable domain and range, it's a little bit trickier because they are not going to give you a graph and they're not going to give you a table. Instead, they're going to give you a verbal description, and you have to read. These are more reading problems than they are anything else. But you do need to know that domain are the x's and range of the y's. This is an example of a reasonable one. The line would look like this, and it's got arrows on both ends, and I've already scribbled this off, but it continues that way and continues down. That's what a linear equation looks like. But if it's a real world situation, and this might be, I've got a 100-gallon fish tank, and so there it is at 100 gallons. This is my gallons on the y-axis, and I'm draining the fish tank. And as time goes by in minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, this is what the graph looks like. My gallons are getting less and less and less as the fish tank is draining until we get all the way down to being empty. And at 50 minutes, it's empty. At the start, time 0, I had 100 gallons in it. Do I care about negative 10 minutes or negative 20 minutes or negative 30 minutes? No, in a real world situation, we don't care about that part of the graph, so we would chop it off. So reasonable would be it starts at 100 gallons, and reasonable is when it ends, when it's empty. I don't care about how much time passed after that because it's still going to be empty. It's not going to have negative gallons, so I cross off that part. So this is the only part of the graph we're really concerned with in real world, which is typically the first quadrant. So my ranges are from 0 up to 100.